Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we have fun talking all things hunting, and in the process, do our best to support small and family-owned businesses in the hunting space. Here are your hosts and resident bandits, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, and I'm joined as always by the Corn Bandit, Richard, who's joining us from the land of beer. How are you, sir?
I am good, sir. It is it's pretty chilly up here. Too chilly for my southern blood. That's for sure.
Yeah, Richard is up in Milwaukee for
Yes,
his day job right now, so he's
Yeah.
calling in from a hotel.
Yeah. I got to drive a Jetta through what I consider to be a blizzard, but the folks up here probably don't consider it. I'm glad I took the insurance out because I think my fingers have permanently destroyed that steering wheel because I was holding on to it pretty darn tight. That's for sure.
Well, that Jetta's front wheel drive or what?
I don't know. It's small wheel drive. That's all I know. I had to put that seat all the way back, and I kept saying to myself, "Why the hell did I get this damn thing?" My boss tells me I could get a full size, but I didn't. So.
Oh well, at least you made it for the podcast. Hopefully,
right.
you make it back to the airport tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, God willing. God willing.
Awesome. Well, on this episode, we're excited to talk with Luke Douglas and Nate Anderson. They are the co-owners of Hangerz. That is Hangerz with a Z. Hey guys, welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good.
We're very
Jimmy,
well. Thank
Richard,
you very much.
How are you guys?
Oh, awesome. This is Jimmy. I'm lucky enough to still be here in Texas, so it's nice and warm today, at least.
A lot better than what we had today, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, tell us, what y'all have today? Where are y'all?
We're square in the middle of Kansas.
Okay.
Seems,
Y'all
seems to
got
be the ice tundra right now.
Oh,
right.
man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all those named winter storms and stuff are going through there, aren't they?
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun the last month or so trying to stay dug out and thawed out.
Right.
We're not near as bad as our friends to the north, but bad enough for what we're used to.
Yeah, we talked to a fellow from I guess northern Indiana a couple of weeks ago, and he was we were talking about how some of the deer up there had it frozen like in place supposedly.
Oh, really?
You said it was what did he say the temperature was, Richard?
It was it was a balmy -30.
Something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're headed to Des Moines this weekend, and it's projected to be about that. So that'll be fun.
Oh man,
that's incredible.
We'll stay warm this weekend. Yeah. So
we'll try to.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for coming on. Before we get into what you guys are all about, would you mind just walking us through really who you guys are, how y'all met, and how y'all kind of got started?
Okay.
Absolutely. Luke, you want to take it or you want me to do it?
No, go ahead for a little bit and I'll come back in. So
no problem. So Jimmy, Luke and I actually got to know each other when I was in college. I moved into a duplex right next to him and his wife. I think he saw me bringing in guns or bows or something into my little college house and came outside to introduce himself, and we started talking. And, of course, none of my college friends here in central Kansas, I went to school for auto restoration. None of them hunted or anything. So when Luke brought that up, I was super excited. I'd go over to his house and watch hunt shows and that type of thing. And I was cleaning deer skulls kind of in my spare time, a few for myself and a few for friends here and there. And he came over with a pretty rough cut rebar and some steel that he had welded together. And he said, "Here, why don't you use these to hang those heads up with?" I'm like, "Man, that's pretty slick." And, but we were having trouble with them spinning. So I said, "Hey, can we figure something out there?" And he kind of started to get working on it. And he could tell you a little bit more about that, but at his uncle's welding shop here just north of where we live, they got together and decided on a flat piece of steel to make the hanger with. That way that would not turn on the inside of the skull. And one of the guys that actually helps us at trade shows and whatnot, he always peers in with a line that sometimes a square peg in a round hole is a good idea.
Right.
So from there, I started cleaning quite a few more skulls after college. Luke was bringing these over, some rough cut ones that he had made out, and was just giving them to me, and I was just giving them away with skulls that I was cleaning. And I asked Luke one day, I said, why aren't you selling these? And I'm sure, I don't know if I still have the text or not, but I think it's something like on the lines of, like, Luke, do you remember? Something like,
oh, yeah, mostly.
I don't even know where to start or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, mostly it was just, I don't know where to start. Never even crossed my mind to go into selling them or whatnot. Just started making them for friends and family. And one night I get after many discussions with Nathan, and we got a message one night, hey, you need to sell these things. Let's start a business. And I was like, well, I don't even know where to even start that. I have an idea. That's not my cup of tea. And Nate says, well, let's just do it, and here, a few months later, we had all the paperwork drawn up and had a business started. And here we are 5 years later, still doing it. So we're pretty proud of that. And we have a pretty good product and just our own way of hanging European skulls. So
I love it. Well, that's a real that's a real success story. Taking an issue that a lot of folks have, and you know what, putting it all out on the line, and taking the chance and getting something resolved to help the issue. I think that's great.
Yeah, it kind of sounds
right.
like how Richard and I got started here doing this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly right. We called it the American pipe dream.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, looking at your products and whatnot, let me tell you, it's funny. I've been, I don't know, probably over the last at least 2 years or so, I started boiling, my own skulls, and it's funny. I'm kind of known as the coal hunter down at the ranch we hunt at. I love the coals. I love the weird looking, skulls and whatnot. And I always, I want to keep them. And so I've been doing that on my own. But my garage, I just put them in my garage. I don't really have any good way to put them or anything like that. Right now, I literally have some of them like hanging on like those little metal hangers on a tool pegboard,
Right.
Just sitting there. And like you were talking about, like, it's not the most ideal way to hang those things. So, when I ran across you guys' product, I was like, right there, that's exactly the thing that I need, and I need to talk to these guys about, so that I can do something with them. I can get them off the floor. I can get them off that pegboard, and put them somewhere to where my wife stops badgering me on doing something with them,
Sure. And Jimmy, that's kind of that's kind of how we based our business off of. Is when we started this deal, we sat down and said, first and foremost, we're gonna obviously we have to make sure that we stay friends. Doing a business with a good friend of yours is extremely difficult, and I think Luke and I have run into that several times. But we've always that was our number one main priority. Is if something starts to go south, the business is done, we'll sell it off or give it to somebody or do something like that to be able to maintain our friendship. But number two was we wanted to make something that was affordable and extremely simple, easy to use, small, so it's not, a big gaudy looking hook hanging off your wall. And that's what we've tried to stick to, is something affordable, because a lot of guys, do have a handful or more skulls that are just laying around, and we thought, man, what a cool, cheap, affordable, easy way to be able to get them up and display them.
Right.
So that's kind of how we based our business off of.
And I think when I first saw the product, I thought to myself, God, that's a really great idea, because whether you're hanging a $400 shoulder mount, okay, or a project that you did yourself, you still don't want that thing to fall off the wall. It would be a huge tragedy. So thumbing through your spare nuts and bolts, trying to find a nail just to hang just right on the wall, to make sure that your European doesn't fall off the wall. It's not worth it, because obviously, as you all know, if that piece of that skull, if that thing falls and it breaks, it'll never be the same. Especially if you've done any custom paint work or anything on there, which obviously has become really popular, or if the antlers itself break. I know a guy who had that exact same thing happen to him. He had a stained concrete floor, and he just kind of hung it up there with a nail. It was a big nail. Thought it was gonna be okay. Somehow, some way, not sure how it happened, but guess what? It came off the wall. The right main beam on this super nice buck broke off. He tried to glue it. When he did, he used I think he used Loctite. Well, so now every time you look at it, you can see where the break is because it's got that shininess. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't look authentic anymore. So it's funny. Right. I actually forwarded him your site, and he was like, "Oh, well, I wish I would have known about this a couple of years ago." I said, "Well, hey, now you shoot another one, put them on the wall, it won't happen again." So he was grateful for that.
Well, good deal. We it's fun to hear. It's not fun to hear stories like that, but it's fun. And I know it's happened to Luke too. But I've got, I don't know, probably a dozen skulls hanging up in my basement. Well, of course, the basement's where we send the kids. That's where all the toys are at. And my boy was had a couple friends over here a while back to watch a football game. They're down there roughhousing, and all of a sudden you kind of hear something loud, and you hear somebody go, "Uh-oh." Yep. And here he comes up the stairs going, "Hey, we hit one of the deer." And so I go, "Which one was it?" My wife's sitting right next to me on a couch, and he goes, "The one way on the far end that's got the fuzzy on it." And I looked at my wife, and she's like, velvet. "Oh man, it was her first deer she'd ever shot, and it was with her bow, and it was a little velvet buck." Well, I went down there, and the thing is still, I mean, it's like it hadn't even been moved. But anybody who's boiled a skull has had there's a fancy name, zygote or something for it, but basically the front nose piece on the skulls, they're real brittle, and a lot of times just cleaning skulls, they just kind of fall off. You got to glue them back on. Well, they had hit that nose piece with a football and broke the nose off of that deer, both pieces. They were laying on the floor, and that deer is still hanging up on that hanger.
Right.
So that was kind of nice. She obviously wasn't real happy, but we got it fixed, and I was surprised at myself even how well that it was still hanging up there. Not more damage was done, so that was good to see.
That's great.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the nose broke, but at least it saved the rest of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we've never even had one. We've never had one even fall off. As far as if it does get hit or you run into it with your head while walking by or anything, you bend down and pick something up and come up, hit your head on it.
Right.
They may rotate it or spin around a little bit, but we've never had one that I know of, my knowledge, has ever come off of the hanger and hit the floor. Even my wife shot one 2 years ago, and it's 186 7/8 inch, and my cat decided to attack it one day. We have a tabletop version, and we call our skull stand, and my cat decided to attack that one day, and as he did that, he went, the head went spinning around because it was way more weight on one side than it could handle. But still, it just spun around and then hung there. It never come off the table stand or anything. So it won't. They're on there. Once they're on there, they're on there. But we've never had an issue with anything falling off the wall. We've never had an issue with a head that we couldn't get to hang right. We're pretty proud. We're pretty proud of that. So
that's great.
Is the deer you're just talking about on your skull stand the one that's in the picture on your website? Is that the same?
No, that's another deer of ours. So.
Yep, that's a big typical.
Okay,
that's a giant.
Yeah,
that's
and we're very proud to have had several, and I do mean several, 200, 230 inch, 240 inch deer on our products, our table stands, and actually still right now some on there, and they hold them and display them proud, and we can't thank our customers enough, our friends that have shot some very, very nice deer. Trust their stuff, trust our stuff to display their products, their trophies. So it's an honor to. Yeah.
I'm actually personally, I'm actually more partial towards, the skull mount rather than, the full shoulder mount for whatever reason. So if I got one that looked like that, I'm looking at the one on the skull stand as an example right now online.
Mm-hmm.
I would still probably do the skull like that. And of course, if I had that, rather than, some of the spikes that I have, I'd be a lot more apt to be like, okay, I definitely need one of these hangers for that guy, rather than, just kind of not worrying too much about like a little spike or something like that. But that looks really nice. I can see that. Like I wish I had a nice office here with a nice desk, like a wood desk or whatever, just like kind of what looks there. And God, that'd look beautiful on your desk. No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
awesome.
become a new style. It seems like the desk mounts have really become pretty popular. You're even seeing some shoulder mounts now that are kind of done, on the pedestal, which I think is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. The skull stand, that was our second product that we came out with, and it's been extremely well received, very popular. And the nice thing about that is you can literally put anything on there. When guys, we've got a lot of friends in Texas, and when they call and say, hey, we got an aoudad or, some goofy sheep or something, the horns curl way back, and and on our original hanger it'd sit too close, and we point them towards that, and they look great on there.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask your original hanger, do you typically recommend that for just a normal whitetail, or what animals would you recommend for, say, your large hanger versus the original?
Right. So the original that is just our base wall mount. Our claim to fame for that is anything from bobcats to giant mule deer.
Okay.
And it's basically it's fitted, the width of it is fitted for that. And there's a fancy name for it too, but I don't know what it is. But we call it the brainstem hole.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's small enough to be able to securely sit on there will work. And we found, once you get up to a big mule deer, it works great for that. When you go to like a longhorn, we've got moose on them. Smaller bull elk or a lot of African game, kind of some of those bigger antelope species over there. They work really good for our larger hanger, which we call our H2. And then we've also, we actually started with one of those giant deer that Luke was talking about. A good friend of ours here shot, I remember 2 falls ago now, I think. And it was Luke, what was Scott's deer? 230 something?
226 and change.
Wow. 226 and change, and it's wide enough from the end of the left main beam to the kicker that comes off the back right G2 that you have to turn it to be able to go through a door frame. It's a monster frame deer.
That is a great problem to have.
That's what we say too. That's what we say.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Luke actually, he custom made Scott a wall bracket for it. That's basically our original mount, but extends out from the wall 4 inches, 3.5, 4 inches to give it that clearance for the kickers.
Right.
So which we've found has worked phenomenal for sheep. Big horns, Texas sheep that you guys got that Luke got to go after this last weekend.
Cool.
It worked. Yeah, he was down in your neck of the woods.
Further
south of you, I think.
I was hunting down by Uvalde, actually. So, or Uvalde, how you say it. So,
yeah, awesome.
Now, the one you're describing, is that the standoff hanger that I'm hangers?
Right, that'd be the standoff. Okay. Yep, that would be the standoff. So that works great for sheep. We found anything, it works fine for a regular whitetail too, if you want a little 3-dimension to it where it sticks out a little bit. That's kind of cool. Then we've also have an H2 standoff. It's quite a bit bigger, sticks out of the wall just a little bit further, and then it's made of that heavier gauge steel, has a little bit wider end to it for when we get a lot bigger bull elk. That works great for that. I had a longhorn on. I had a 50-inch longhorn that I cleaned this year for a guy on one, and
Wow.
it looks really, really cool. So,
Awesome.
yeah, we've got. There's a couple others on there too. I don't know if you saw our corner bracket.
Yes, that looks pretty cool.
Right. So that was just kind of I don't know. We were sitting in my office at the car dealership where I used to work a while back, and kind of thought about that, and we ended up rolling with it. But Luke, how wide of a deer can we put on those? They're
20, yeah, it can go 25 inches before the wall comes into play with it. So
Wow.
25-inch spread and under will work.
Right, and then you can just stack them on the inside corner of your house. You know, we see a lot of people do that. It's kind of a dead space you can't really do anything with, and so if you stack, 3 or 4 of those on top of each other, it looks really neat.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so we're pretty proud of that whole lineup, and then we even this last year ventured out. We haven't even, I guess maybe we've technically released it, but we've got a turkey fan mount.
Ooh.
That's brand new. It was everybody's used to the old wood ones.
Right.
We wanted something that we could kind of play in that game, and that's what we came up with. So it's kind of a nice, clean steel look, and we really think that'll go over well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now, and so how does that work specifically? Do you have like little slots behind the circular part there, or like how exactly would that work?
Right. So the fan drops down right behind that deal. And then there's holes in the backside, kind of like the old-fashioned wood ones, where you'd run a screw up through it. You can run a set screw in there, or you can just kind of pinch it together, kind of like a taco.
Okay.
And it'll hold the fan just fine. Then there's holes in the bottom of it, so you can string beards or spurs or what have you on there.
Cool.
Oh,
and
nice.
it looks neat because it pokes out from the wall an inch and a half. And gives it a really neat kind of shadowed 3-dimensional look.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The wood ones I think have always been nice, but Jimmy and I always talk about the old expression goes, don't reinvent the wheel, But of course, right. I firmly believe now, and have for many years, reinvent the wheel, just like the ice chest, just like the cooler. I mean, who thought that anybody would make a new cooler? Well, same thing goes with the whole turkey fan mount, I mean, the wood ones are nice, but me personally, I actually prefer something a little bit different. So I'd be curious to give it a whirl, see what it looks like. It'd be really cool.
Right. They're fun, and right now our logo is cut out of the front of it, so then we can supply with like a different color little steel card, a painted steel card for back behind there, so you can have color match your themes, your sports teams, or whatever, your wall color.
Oh, that's cool.
Make each one unique, so that's kind of neat too.
Very cool. Very cool. And then I'm looking at here Skull Shine. You put somehow you get a light in there, I guess.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Skull Shine is actually a guy that I came across. He's from New York. His name's Michael Campbell, and he owns a company called Skull Shine, and it just works fantastic with our products. So we carry his as well, and what that is basically it's 3 little LED strips. And so let's say you're running a deer skull. We always like to say they make great night lights, like in your kid's room if your kid shoots a deer.
I was about to say.
It works phenomenal with our skull stands because you can hide the wire behind it, because it does goes to a 110 plug-in, and then it's remote controlled.
Oh, that's
so you've got an LED strip in each of the like up into the nasal cavities, and then one for that brainstem hole, and then it runs down to a plug-in. You can hide that behind the stem of the skull stand. got like 19 different colors and 20 something different color changing patterns to it. Yeah, they are really, really neat. If you've got a room or a corner of a room where you can stick a skull and really want to make it pop, yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah, I love that picture. I love the red one in there. That's really cool. And I was just thinking that, like, right before you said a nightlight. So I got Rich and I both have children, but I have a 20-month-old son, and I have one of my skull mounts in there, and he loves it. He always points at it, and all this type of thing. I thought, God, that would be really cool to put that, to do that, in his room.
Yep, it's awesome. I think I'd have to double check. I remember he used to, but I think Michael still has like little lithium battery packs that you can put, like if you did a wall mount bracket of some sort and didn't want to plug in. I think his deal was they just didn't last quite as long. It's kind of nice to just have it plugged in, not worry about it. But yeah, that's been a real popular product for us too.
Very cool.
Very cool. So talk to us just a little bit about these monster deers you guys have up in Kansas.
Oh, there's no monster deers up here in Kansas. So.
Yeah, there's we don't have big deer. You guys got the big deer.
I don't know.
You guys got the big one.
Listen. The word is out. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kansas story is actually interesting because I think it was somebody told me that 100 billion years ago there really weren't any white-tailed deer in the state of Kansas.
That's
and
right.
And then the past, 100 years or something, boy, it just that is not the case anymore.
Well, back when my dad was my dad's 62 years old, and when he was a young man, just to see a whitetail was a pretty special event, actually.
Right.
Especially when he was, a real young kid. But they didn't have. I think bow season started in Kansas in 1945. I think somewhere in there, but there just wasn't a whole lot of deer. Especially my grandpa will tell me that there was, it's pretty non-existent. It's just to see animals, and but slowly over time we've developed some very good hunting ground here in Kansas, and the deer have more than plenished. But something that Nathan and I both, you talk about big deer, you can talk to him where he's from. He hails from the great state of Iowa, which they may have one or two deer up there anymore. I'm not sure how many deer up there, but it's not worth going up there either. So I just stay away. So
right. No,
go to Tennessee. That's where they're all at. So
there you go.
Now
it is fun to talk. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is it's just kind of fun to be able to, for my job, I get to talk to a lot of farmers, pretty close to our area, and it is fun because I'm always asking them, about shed hunting or deer hunting or just whatever, and it's fun to hear them say, when I was a kid, there was never any deer around here, we didn't have deer, and now those are the farms that are producing 200 plus inch deer.
Right. Well, it's amazing what habitat creation, whether it be on purpose or by accident, can really do. And I think the Kansas deer, much like Illinois and Iowa and whatnot, have really benefited from a lot of the cereal crops, grains and whatnot, and then of course with the hardwood bottoms starting to mature there in Kansas and stuff, they've just flourished. And it's been pretty crazy. But you guys also have mule deer too. Is that accurate, or am I dreaming that?
You're
almost.
Okay.
Yeah. In Kansas, yes, there are mule deer. The line starts probably, what would you say, Luke, an hour and a half west of us?
Okay. Yeah. Well, Waukegan and west. Yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of in the Sand Hills country, right? Or am I?
Can be. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, Sand Hills is more Nebraska.
More Nebraska. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. There's a few around here, but not like probably what you're thinking of.
Okay.
I mean, Western Kansas is like, it's pretty flat. We've antelope hunted far southwest the last few years, and it's flat as a pancake. But it's still a lot of crop ground, a lot of CRP ground.
Sure. Good for the pheasant.
There's one or two counties. Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Our pheasants have been a little weak the last few years. Actually, probably since the 2012 drought.
Right.
But our quail numbers are doing real well right now.
Oh, that's
so
great.
That's fun to watch.
Great. No, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, we went through a period down here of the quail just kind of disappearing for a while. Now they're starting to come back, so that's good. But yeah. It's funny how that works, just depending where you are or what happens,
It all comes back around, at the end. So just enjoy the ride for a while.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's right.
So what do you guys have as far as any new products coming out? You mentioned the turkey hanger, which I think is awesome, but anything else in the books that you could share with the listening public?
We have a thing in the process, but that's about as far as I can go with that at the moment. So
that's
so stay tuned.
That's funny you mentioned that. That's right. Yeah. Stay tuned. We've got something that's completely out of the norm for us.
Okay.
We're excited. We're excited about that.
Nice.
Right. It's awesome. Right. Well, what you'll have to be sure to let us know as soon as y'all release it to the public, and we'll let our followers.
We can do that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can do that. As far as the stuff that we can tell you about, though, our latest is the H2 standoff and our turkey mount. So if you've got big game and want to display them in a unique fashion, you've got that standoff, and turkey season's coming up.
Yep.
Yes, it is. My favorite.
I was thinking about the pedestal, the stand mount, and you mentioned Africa, and I don't know a whole lot of. Well, of course, if you're going to Africa, maybe you do have more wall space than the average Joe, but as many animals that you have the opportunity to harvest over there. I think that it would be really cool to kind of do a mix and match. At least if it was my home, I don't have a whole ton of wall space. I would have to put some on the wall, but then I'd love to put some, on the pedestal and kind of change it up, So it sounds like obviously you guys kind of have a solution for both of those. So for those listening who are doing any African hunting and whatnot, give these guys some serious consideration after you spend all your $8 million getting your trophies home.
Well, in addition to your domestic hunting, of course.
No, of course. Yeah, no doubt.
Do you gentlemen ever attend any of the Texas Trophy Hunter shows, extravaganza shows?
We do.
We typically always at least make the one in Fort Worth.
Yep.
Well, we've been there the last 2 years, so you have to come down and see us.
We will do that.
You'll be here this year.
One of our favorite shows.
Yeah, we'll be here. That's our best. That's one of our favorite best shows that we have. The people in Texas are very, very nice, and they don't mind spending that money. So
absolutely,
great.
And they love our products. So
okay, well, awesome. So all right, so everyone hears that. Make it out to the Trophy Hunter show and meet Luke and Nate and check out their head hangers. You guys got anything else you want to talk about with our audience?
No, just to keep us in mind when if you are needing a way to hang your skull, or heck, you can hang your hat or your coat or whatever you want to on our products. But we just like to emphasize that we make things for the average bow hunter, rifle hunter, normal hunter. We definitely don't cater to the big corporations or anything like that. We did this together as friends, and we did this so anybody can afford it. Even us at the time when we were just two bow hunting buddies that have a bunch of money to spend, we can still afford to buy our own product. If we were the customer, we could afford to buy it, or we'd want to buy it. So that's kind of our philosophy. To make a product that doesn't stand out, doesn't take away from whatever trophy you have on there, whether it's a little bitty a doe or a little buck or a 200-inch whitetail. Our product you won't even hardly see it, honestly. You'll see your trophy no matter how big or small or whatever it is, and that's something that we're pretty proud of, to have an affordable price item that anybody can have, and secure your trophy for as long as you have it on your wall.
Yeah,
Right.
I was going to say the peace of mind that you get that trophy is going to be secure there. I think you can't downplay that. That's huge.
No, absolutely, and just being
Right.
being part of helping someone, display their proud harvest, their proud trophy. That's a cool thing. So
I agree.
Yeah. All right, guys.
For
Well,
sure.
thank you
I
very
will throw-
much. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you're ready to have a concluder, you can go for it. But all I was going to say was, we are extremely proud of our product, obviously, but we want to be able to help too. So I think like maybe a month ago we had our first return in 5 years of being in business, which we're happy to take back. And I think we actually Luke, you just exchanged it, didn't you? He had a bull elk that wouldn't fit on our normal H2, so we exchanged it for an H2 standoff.
Okay.
It was a big one, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
it was before we. I'm sorry, it was before we really released our H2 standoff. He ordered that, and his bull was too big, which is, we like to say, if your animal's too big, then we're pretty proud of you.
Right.
But we will make whatever we need to make it right, no matter what's wrong with your, like we said, it's our first return in 5 years, so we're doing something pretty right. But even if it doesn't work, we'll make it work. Nathan and I will do, whatever we can to make the customers happy, because that's the end goal right there, is to have a happy customer base.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
right.
great.
And speaking of making the customer happy, Jimmy, I think Luke and I are going to extend an offer code to your listeners, if that's all right.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if
whatever you guys would want.
Right. If anybody gets on our website at headhangers.com, if you enter the code FeedBandit, you will get 15% off your next order.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Wow. Is that the Feed Bandit one word, or do they put the space in just to be sure?
Nope, Feed Bandit's all one word.
Okay, great.
Yep.
All
lowercase.
Very generous, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah, and do you guys encourage your customers to send in pictures of their mounts once they've hung them on the wall?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That's Luke and I were talking about this the other day. That's probably one of the funnest parts about having a company like this, is getting back pictures from people who are using them, who are happy with them. That's phenomenal. We love it.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, that's just wanted to throw that out there. Also, just people be sure to share what you do with them, and share your mounts with these guys as well. Thank you so much for offering that to our listeners. Again, that's enter the code FeedBandit, one word, on their website at headhangers.com, and that's Hangerz with a Z. And you'll get, what'd you say, 15% off?
Yes.
Okay.
15% off, correct. Yep.
Awesome. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
They can also follow us on Instagram too, at Headhangers, and then Facebook is the same way. So there's always cool stuff coming up on there if they want to see what all the new latest stuff is, and watch for the new product coming out here shortly in the next few months.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys very much for coming on again on the Feed Bandit podcast. I know I had a great time talking to y'all. Richard, you got anything else for these guys?
I think I'm in great shape. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And good luck, and
no problem.
Continued success.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Y'all have a good one, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, folks, that was Luke Douglas and Nate Anderson, co-owners of Headhangers. That's Headhangers with a Z. You can find them at headhangers.com, and Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Headhangers. That was a really fun one to talk to them. And it was really interesting because, like I said at the beginning, I got all those heads in the garage, so now I think I got a way to hang them up. And
for sure.
like you were saying, confident that that they're not going to fall off the wall. I didn't say it just occurred to me. For people, especially in places like, I don't know, California or something, where you got earthquakes, that would be, especially, you want to, use something to help that. And, over here,
for sure.
We've had a couple of those little minor earthquakes. They blame it on the fracking or whatever.
Oh, the horrible oil and gas people.
That's not enough to knock you off the wall, but I know my son, and I'm sure your daughters are enough to knock some of these off the wall. So
the story they were telling, it actually, I never really thought about that. That old saying, Mama says don't play ball in the house. Well, what if somebody breaks Mama's rule and your bull elk falls off the wall because you've got some sort of big mega store rigged hanger device, I think it makes sense to go with something that's going to keep it on there permanently. So no, that was definitely a really cool one. It's great to hear a success story. I mean, 5 years, that's awesome.
Yep.
That is really cool.
Yep. I mean, as hunters, we put a lot of effort into, getting that trophy, not just the actual hunt, but, all the preparation and whatnot that goes in during the year. And that, once you finally get that trophy and, you get it taken care of, a shoulder mount or, or the skull mounts that we're talking about, which are, really becoming popular here.
Yep.
You want to go the extra mile to take care of it and protect it and make sure it doesn't fall, but not only not fall, but also still looks good on your wall.
I agree.
That's where the head hangers comes in for sure. So
I agree.
You guys go check them out at headhangers.com. And don't forget, they were gracious enough to offer everyone a 15% discount on their website when you use the discount code FeedBandit. That's FeedBandit, one word. Again, that's a 15% discount. So head on over to headhangers.com. That's hangers with a Z, and get you some of their hangers. And also, don't forget, if you haven't joined our email list yet, and you're looking to get access to deals on awesome new and innovative hunting products and services, it's easy. Just pull up your phone and text BANDIT to 345-345. Again, just text the word BANDIT to 345-345 and go through the directions there, and you'll be on our list and to get notified of some of the cool deals we have coming in the future. So look forward to seeing you guys over there. So with that, unless you got anything else, I think we can wrap this one up.
I think I'm done.
All right, awesome. Well, everyone out there, don't forget, head over to Head Hangers, use code FeedBandit, and then text BANDIT 345-345 to join our community. And then we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you want to find new and innovative hunting gear and service providers not typically offered through the traditional big box hunting stores, come on over and join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. When you join, as a bonus, you'll get our entertaining free e-guide of unique hunting tips and tricks. And a reminder to all you small businesses, feed stores, gear inventors, or entrepreneurs in the hunting space, if you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Go to feedbandit.com/promote. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, as it would really help us out. Go to feedbandit.com/iTunes. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, please remember to support your local feed store.